We got some breaking news for you here out of the NFL and HQ, and coming off their bye and sitting at 2-8, the Giants making a change when it comes to their quarterback, benching Daniel Jones. He will be replaced by Tommy DeVito, familiar name. We saw a lot of him the past couple years. Of course, playing host to the Bucs on Sunday, DeVito will take over as QB1. That game on CBS at 1 Eastern time. I want to bring in our quarterback, Matt Ryan, for more on this. And Matt, this is a surprise, but I do want to go back to Week 10 after that loss to Carolina. Brian Daboll said they would evaluate the position. Your reaction to this news this morning?
Yeah, I mean, I think a bit surprising, but given, the way the contracts are structured and the injury guarantee portion of it, I think this is an investment in their long-term future, right? As long as he doesn't get injured moving forward, I think it's about $22 million over 2 years on the cap hit, and it's a statement that they're going to be moving in a different direction moving forward. And it's part of the business. They haven't been productive. They're sitting at 2-8. With not much to play for in terms of playoff seeding, et cetera, in the NFC. So it's a surprising decision, but not like overly surprising. I think the long-term movement of the Giants moving forward is finding a new quarterback. What's interesting now is if Brian Daboll is going to be there to do that. I think that's probably one of the biggest questions we're going to see in the next 6 or 8 weeks.
You mentioned the business side. This is the first time we've seen it. Denver did it with Russ last year, Jimmy G when he was in Vegas. The football side of it, Daniel Jones has not performed. We've talked about it on a weekly basis. Just 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in his last 5 games. In terms of him maybe getting back to a starting quarterback position, it seems like the writing is on the door in New York. What does the future look like, Daniel? Where does it go for him?
Yeah, it's a great question. We've seen the reemergence of guys like Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, right, where it's taken a few stops along the way, and then they've gotten back into a good situation and they've had production. I think if you're Daniel Jones, you're hoping for a situation like that where you can go and either back up for a year or two and kind of learn, and then maybe get an opportunity to play and play well enough to get, maybe another starting role. But I look at starting positions that are going to be open probably next year, and I don't see, a place where an organization is going to go ahead and pay a guy like Daniel Jones right now that starting quarterback money. So I think he goes to the bench for a little while. Hopefully he can find a stable situation, one where he can maybe learn and get into a system that fits some of his skills. But, you start looking at places like Las Vegas. I'm not sure Las Vegas wants to go down that route again. You mentioned Jimmy G being in that same situation before. You start thinking about places like Carolina. Bryce has played pretty well the last couple of weeks. Maybe he's resurrecting his career there. I just don't see a spot for him as a starting quarterback next year.
Hey, Daniel Jones, 4 years, $160 million when they re-signed him to that deal, now heading to the bench there. And Tommy DeVito taking over as QB1. Matt Ryan, appreciate your time. Of course, we'll see you a little bit later here, but I want to take a look at the Giants' schedule because, as we mentioned, they are 2-8 and very few wins in a far. Yes, they had the bye week, so maybe had a chance to recalibrate things, but you go right into it on Sunday against the Bucs. Cowboys on Thanksgiving, Saints, Ravens, Falcons, Colts, and Eagles. It is not an easy rest of the way, especially if Tommy DeVito is taking over. We will see how the Giants will move on with Danny Dimes heading to the bench.